Welcome back to our channel. Today we bring you the exciting and dramatic developments of Beyond the Gates, which aired on Monday, June 1st. The silence has never been so terrifying in a room full of memories and the darkness of hatred. Anita stands silently in front of an old photo of the Articulates, four girls who once stirred up the underground performing arts world with their mysterious, brilliant, and haunting performances. But now, those memories are just wounds. Each face in the photo carries an untold story, especially Sharon's, who was once the unofficial leader, now Anita's most public enemy. Sharon is no longer the young girl passionate about the stage, but has transformed into a cold, sharp, and calculating symbol. She reappears after years of absence, carrying with her a grudge sharpened by time and a secret buried for 2 decades. Sharon has come not to reunite, but to reclaim what she believes was stolen from her, the reputation, the trust, and a part of her soul that Anita destroyed. Anita does not back down. She is used to dealing with dark forces, threats hidden behind camera flashes, and old friends who only want to dig up the past. But this time, Sharon does not come empty-handed. She brings with her an old video, never before seen, that shows a shocking truth from the group's final performance. That night, Anita slipped an unknown drug into a member's water bottle, leading to a stage accident that nearly killed him. The video is blurry, but Anita's face is clearly visible in that fateful moment. And that is only the tip of the iceberg. Meanwhile, Chelsea is going through an internal crisis. She is far from the center of the chaos but cannot escape the shadow of her past. Sitting next to her grandfather Vernon, the only person who has kept a shred of peace in her life, Chelsea pours out her heart about failed relationships, men who have come and gone, and the weariness of always having to pretend to be strong. Vernon, with his experienced eyes, just listens silently, then puts his hand on her shoulder. In that brief moment, a warmth seems to pass through her skin, carrying both forgiveness and hope. But even as Chelsea tries to forget the storm outside, she has no idea that her name is still being mentioned in a completely different investigation. Kat, who used to be Leslie's best friend, has decided to turn in the jacket suspected to be Leslie's to the police after finding it in an old garage. But Kat doesn't know that the traces she leaves behind, sweat, fingerprints, and a small, unidentified bloodstain, will make her a direct link to the case. The police begin to see her as a potential witness, and this puts Kat in a very dangerous position. She realizes that if she doesn't find evidence to clear her name, she may end up being convicted instead of helping to clear the case. Meanwhile, Jacob, an independent journalist, uses his connections to ask a digital forensics expert to reanalyze hospital camera footage from the night of Laura Peterson's accident. Among the blurry, grainy images, a seemingly familiar face appears in the hallway behind the emergency room. When the reconstruction software sharpens the image, Leslie's face appears. But Leslie was supposedly home at the time, and Kat herself provided an alibi. If Leslie had actually been in the hospital at the time, everything would have to be rewritten from scratch. Eva, Leslie's only daughter, is starting to feel the weight of what she has done. On the night of the accident, she stole her mother's hat and shoes and sneaked out of the house, with the intention of meeting a stranger she met on social media. But that night, no one knew she had gone out. Leslie was fast asleep, and the man never showed up. When the accident happened, Eva returned in silence, hiding her belongings as if nothing had happened. But now, those very items have become the decisive evidence. If she tells the truth, she can save herself from a siege of suspicion. But at the same time, it will cause her mother, who is at risk of being convicted, to collapse completely because her long-standing lie has been exposed. As the city is caught in a tangled web of secrets, betrayals and lies, something else is brewing: the Articulates' desire to reunite. After all the hurt and hatred, what is it that holds them together? A new art exhibition is being held, and its hidden organizer is a mysterious former member who has not been seen since the accident years ago. An invitation, unsent, but bearing the group's old symbol, has been sent to each of them. Anita receives it. Sharon receives it, and Kat, though she was never an official member, is on the list. All these people, each with a piece of the truth, an old wound, and a goal. They are slowly being pulled to the same convergence point. But is it a true reunion, or just a final trap to end it all? In the darkness of an unopened gallery, someone quietly hangs an old photo of the Articulates on the wall. On the edge of the photo, handwritten in black ink stands out, "None of us are innocent." But who is the most guilty? As darkness swallows the last light, the final act officially begins. Inside the gallery, where each canvas is covered by a white curtain and each aisle bears the traces of the glorious performances of the past, an atmosphere of tension and confusion permeates every breath. Anita arrived first, earlier than the time on the invitation. She walked slowly, her eyes darting around, every little detail tearing her memory to shreds. The left wall, where the group's portrait had hung when they first performed, was now bare. She touched the old paint, and for a moment, felt a shiver. Someone had been there before her, close, and might still be around. Sharon appeared a short time later, still looking as sharp as ever. There was no hug, no handshake between two people who had been inseparable. There was only a heavy silence between their opposing gazes. Sharon walked slowly past Anita, her eyes scanning the scene as if waiting for a signal from the darkness. She didn't say a word. But her eyes made it clear, she didn't trust anyone present at this reunion. Kat arrived next, pale, her hand still bruised from a minor accident a few days earlier. She carried a thick envelope, inside which were copies of the documents her lawyer had obtained from the police, including the DNA analysis from the jacket. Kat knew she was taking a risky gamble. But she believed that the truth, however painful, needed to be revealed. What she didn't know was that the envelope, in the wrong hands, could be used for a manipulation even more brutal than the threat. A bell rang from a dark corner of the gallery. The back door swung open, and a figure emerged. No one recognized the face immediately, but then Jacob stepped out of the shadows, carrying a folder with the logo of the hospital where Laura Peterson had been treated. He hadn't come to see the paintings, nor had he come because of an invitation. He's here because he's found the final link: unreleased security footage that shows a figure in the hallway behind the ICU at the exact moment Laura died. That person is none other than the man everyone has long dismissed as a suspect, Vernon. Vernon, Chelsea's grandfather, the man who was once her most reliable support, is now the focus. Jacob holds the footage up to Kat and Sharon, his eyes unblinking. In the clip, Vernon stands face to face with a doctor who has since been fired for professional misconduct. There's no sound. But Vernon's expression is cold and unnerving. Jacob doesn't say he's the killer, but he knows to be there. Vernon must have had access or a deeper connection to the hospital's board of directors, something no one has mentioned. Elsewhere in town, Eva sits in front of her mother's old closet. She opened the small box containing the hat and shoes she had secretly taken. The evidence was silent but screamed in her heart. Every time she saw them, Eva felt like she was being squeezed by an invisible hand. She knew that if she gave these items to the police, her mother could be reinvestigated from the beginning. But if she kept silent, she was letting a lie continue to destroy her family. In that moment, Eva burst into tears. Not because of guilt, but because she understood love could also be a prison. And she was the one who kept the key. And then, just when everything seemed to be falling apart in many directions, another letter appeared. This time, not everyone received it. Only Anita and Chelsea were named on the envelope, and the contents stunned them both. The last show never ended. What you think is the past is just a small scene in a play that has not ended. See you where it all began. Beneath the words was an old photo, the four articulates standing in front of an abandoned theater. But what stunned Anita was not the location, it was a fifth figure standing in the background, half his face cut off, but whose necklace was all too familiar. It was Laura's necklace. The question now is no longer who caused the accident, but whether Laura is really dead. Or is this just a setup to hide something more terrible? All the clues begin to fit together into a strange picture. An unclear accident. Disappearing evidence. People who seem to have lost all connection are now forced to return. Each carries a secret, a stain, a goal. But they are all drawn to the same place, the old theater where the articulates first became famous, and also where they buried something darkest. The fateful reunion night is set. No one knows who is really behind it all. Some think it is Sharon, because she has always been a manipulative person. Some suspect Jacob, who is always too enthusiastic about other people's secrets. Some believe that Laura herself, if she is still alive, is secretly pulling the strings to trap everyone in her trap. And then, in the moment when the old stage lights shine for the first time in years, each member steps out of the darkness. The wings can no longer hide the lies. The stage is no longer a place for acting, only the truth. Follow and subscribe to our channel to update the shocking and dramatic developments of this fascinating ongoing drama.